Well, howdy, everyone, and welcome to the SpeedGaming Live 2021 Messenger New Game Plus tournament. I am Minus, and we're going to be running through this race between L3 and Breadpan. They are going to be kicking off pretty soon. I'm working them right now. We're going to be kicking them off in just a second. All right. For those just joining us, this is the, like I said, the New Game Plus run for this category, which means they're going to be starting off a quote unquote new file, but they're going to have a lot of the upgrades and everything ready for them from the start. Plus, they have the Ninja Tabbies to start off with as well. So we have, well, once they get started, we're going to kick it off just from the start from Ninja Village, going through the entire game, about an hour and a half-ish. So we will have some fun with that. So L3 and Breadpan. Let's talk about these racers real quick. So Breadpan and L3 have been in the community for a little bit. Breadpan, we're in the losers round 1 right now. So this is their. Both of these racers have a single loss already in the tournament, and now the winner of this will continue on, and the other one will be knocked out of the tournament. Breadpan played last week against Grandius and lost that race, and L3 against Alpha, Sword of Alpha. So that is the race what we have going on right here. So as we kick off, we got some use of a lot of the equipment that we're going to have in here. So for folks who might be more used to seeing a new game run where it's just slashes and cloud steps starting off, there's a lot more that happens in Ninja Village New Game Plus with rope dart and movement. Some of the key things you're going to see with New Game Plus is that bosses are going to go down very fast. We're going to be using windmill shurikens, which is something you won't see in a new game run, and that gets to do a lot of fun things and change the terms up quite a bit. Another thing, and this doesn't typically happen, it's pretty rare, but New Game Plus has a mechanic in place where you don't actually pay for your deaths after the fact. You pay them all up front, and if you can't pay for a death, which in this should be, I think, 50 time shards, can't pay for it, then it's just a hard game over. Let's hope we don't see that in the race today. That would be unfortunate for them, but that would be a game over for them, and they'd have to start all the way back at the beginning of the run. So depending on when that would happen, could just call the end there. We're coming into Autumn Hills at the moment. Reset Hills, as I affectionately like to refer to it as. It's wonderful that the music, shout outs to Rainbow Dragon Eyes for the great music for it. It's wonderful the music is so good, because you get to hear it a lot as you're learning and doing runs in this game. It's fun to watch. Me as predominantly a new game runner, it's fun to watch these New Game Plus runs and see just how different these levels can look. We even see some deviation here. So Breadpan is actually holding off on pulling out the windmill shurikens, and is instead getting a little bit of distance ahead. L3 stops to grab him for other mechanics here. So you can see how they're used to get cloud steps that normal shurikens just can't get you. So you'll see a lot of cool stuff used here. I think this means that Red is going to. I think that means L3 is going to for the kind of blue or ultra steel tech that Breadpan will not, and that's a huge piece of tech for this stage. So let's see how it goes. Other key differences: you got a bunch of health to start out with, so some tech and strats that we wouldn't see in new game. You'll get to see here a more damage boost. It'll also feel like a little bit safer of a run, which might have you asking, you know, this run being kind of less popular than the other ones. Why is that so? Ooh, that was close. Why is that so? And it's because some of the strats are pretty tough. L3 not quite getting out of the water right and wasn't able to get the that they were looking for. Now, let's see. I'm curious to see. I think Breadpan's going to instead just hop into the shop right before the boss and pick him up then. So it's a small deviation of when you decide to pick it up, and a bit of preference. Although picking them up as soon as possible opens up more strats that you can do, which is why some folks will prefer to go for it. If we're trying to get around this corner here, there you go. And Breadpan kind of coming up to the climb. There we go. And then we'll be seeing the first boss here in a little bit. So I think so Bread's going to go inside and pick it up. The windmill shurikens not only give you a lot of cool strats with their ability to go through walls and get you cloud steps, but they also just can be used to put a bunch of damage out. So this boss, while usually a 1 cycle or a 0 cycle, right, even in new game, is nothing in this mode. And there it is. Took a few hits there, but otherwise, boss is down. Didn't have to deal with the L3's windmill juggling there. Very well done. You'll see some folks try to shave off frames at the end of that boss by like doing things like rope darting at the end of the fight to kind of slide over to the door, save themselves a few steps. We'll come into Forlorn Temple, which we're going to touch on later. A relatively tough level that we will not touch right now. We'll talk to one of our Phobicans here, one of our good friends, Necro, who is afraid of death and all things such, and it's a shame kind of put into their literal nightmare. Oh, okay, Breadpan, wait, that's cool. It's interesting with this particular game mode, unlike others, the Phobicans actually won't be necessary because of a very difficult but key strat in this game mode, which we'll see later if we're getting into Forlorn without them. And some other cool things is the upgrades that they already have, since this is 100% save file that they use for building the New Game Plus file that we all play. They have all the upgrades, so being able to do like the yeets and stuff we see here coming out of the water, the fast swim, all that stuff. Very cool. Seeing them get through they're starting to kind of close in on each other a little bit. I'm not sure about Bread's timer, as I think they accidentally stopped it. So as for exact timing, I'm not too sure anymore. But oh, okay, so that's what a death will look like in New Game Plus on Bread's side. So you can see how Corbel, our good friend, savior of everything, just comes in and takes that money. And if Breadpan wasn't able to pay it, then it would be game over right there. But Breadpan's got plenty, and it's typically not a problem unless there's a severe mistake that occurs. So not a big deal. We have L3 up front at the moment. And L3 is going to pop through here and go to come up on our Badonkadonk broom, which, if I remember correctly, New Game Plus is actually where things started with it. With the Windmill Shuriken, it's pretty simple. They're just trying to skip over a cutscene trigger in the bottom right corner of that little space in that room. With the Windmill Shuriken, they both nail it perfectly. In an any percent run like this, it's just kind of important to remember that that happened, because you will come back through here, and you don't want to touch that cutscene trigger later, because it could be a problem. It could result in a death. Otherwise, I haven't seen some of these rooms with the Windmill Shuriken in a while. I didn't see L3. But Breadpan's doing something kind of like it, which is really cool with the way the windmill shuriken's working. If it's making contact with stuff, you're still getting cloud steps through that. So a lot of cool things we'll get to see. We see L3 make that crusher skip no problem. Breadpan going through the same thing, moving pretty. Oh, we get hit by the skeletons. They have an interesting height to them, so you're knocking your knees against their head more often than you wish. All right, we got Ruxton, our favorite, coming in right now. We are hoping for Ruxton to appear at the end of the cutscene at that top platform, getting a high Ruxton, which is a much faster fight than if he stays low. So L3's got it. A much faster fight. It's going to do all of his damage. We don't even want Ruxton to leave that platform. And very good. Very good fight. Breadpan unfortunately gets the low Ruxton, so that's just free time loss for him. But he's going to fight through it anyway. So an unfortunate bit of RNG for Breadpan. And L3 is going to be coming into Bamboo Creek now. There's a Song of Our People in here that I don't have the voice to sing today, unfortunately. But you ever give a watch of some of the other events, especially coming up, or any of these other wonderful runners, you may hear it here and there. But this is the titular level of the Bamboo Crew that the speedrunners are known by for this particular run, for this particular game, rather. All right, so we got them both in here now. There's a couple of neat things to bear in mind here. It's different to talk about when you're talking about a new game run, where the game has a bit of kind of a progression of items you're picking up, but here it's you got everything, so it feels kind of different. But with the windmill shuriken, it actually opens things up quite a bit, which makes this, and with early rope dart as well, so interesting to pull off. All right, so let's see. L3's gonna go up to level 3 there. We saw a pause for a second. There should be a skip coming up here where we want to avoid taking the elevator, because the elevator is slow. I think Breadpan stream gets it, because Breadpan stream doesn't even want to handle it. Skip room, here we go. Beautiful. Get all the way up there. Just roll backwards there. Oh, Breadpan's about to tackle it. Beautiful. You're basically trying to get to that point, and then after that you get that wall, and you're done with the room. Some nice ascents in this particular part of the stage. There was a nice one tile there. As L3's coming through. There you go. Gonna take on one of the more challenging bosses in the game here for Bamboo Creek. Just gonna do our drops here. There you go. Yeah, that's a tough boss. Fast drops get us every time. But that's it. We see Breadpan kind of getting a little bit of flight out of the waterfall there, which was a lot of fun. We're coming into Grotto. So Grotto in the game is where the wingsuit is introduced. So you'll see heavy wingsuit use begin in this stage. And we'll get to see some nice strats that are a little bit more easy to do in New Game Plus with the additional health. So I'm excited to see. I like when they do that. They drop the platform and then land on it to get that speed of drop instead of the normal ninja drop speed. So it's really nice to see. And a cool little teleport there. We'll talk about teleports a bit more later. But it's really interesting, the tech and the interest and the information behind teleporting, and funny enough, leashing, which I don't think we're gonna talk about in this run. I don't think there's any leashes left in it, so which some people are gonna like a lot. The leashing can be not fun sometimes. Beautiful DK room for L3, got right through it. It's a little bit more forgiving in New Game Plus. You got the health to take the damage both times if you have to. So, but Breadpan also handles it just fine. L3 is going to be coming into a drop here, and we'll see if he goes for it. Drop in this water, try to spin out, take some of the. You can take some of that velocity into this next room here and get a cloud step to kind of jump over that. It's a bit scary and very cool looking. Our racers are going through right now. L3 coming to near the end of it. Just a few rooms left, and then we'll see our next boss, which is also made very interesting with use of the windmill shurikens. So Emerald Golem's going to come out. Clearly mad or upset that we're there. Totally not oblivious at all. And we're going to deal with this menace. We'll come through, get a couple hits. It's 8 hits on the core. Something interesting with New Game Plus is one of the final upgrades you get is an ability that actually triples damage. Ooh, we're making a lot of damage there. Very good. And went for it, but didn't quite get enough damage on the head. So the upgrade that if you don't attack for a while, your sword kind of charges with Ninja Glow, and you'll actually do triple damage on that hit. So it's something that you keep in mind, especially in bosses like this where you're actually counting hits. Very quick kill. Breadpan did really well, and feels to be catching up a bit to L3. Also, if you weren't aware, Windmill Shuriken you actually can get cloud steps off of our buddy there. And just get a little bit of hype before you reach the wind tunnel. Coming into Quills Marsh. This is a fun little level. I like that screen wrap feel there. This is a fun little level with some annoying mushrooms that have some surprisingly good singing voices. Going to come through. Depending on how risky you wish to be, this place can be significantly harder. There are plenty of checkpoints that, only going fast, will tend to skip, and a death can be pretty time costly here. So we'll see how it goes. We've got our right room here, which is even more fun to watch with the rope dart. Ooh, got tapped by the spike ball there. L3's going to get the checkpoint. It's common for folks to skip that one. You'll see Breadpan do so, kind of going for it, saving a bit of time from dropping all the way down. Okay. That was an example, and you'll see plenty more times where they actually can throw the windmill shuriken through a wall and it make contact with something useful for moving various things, doors, and all that. I think it's twice in this level alone. I think we've used it, and that was the first one. There's another checkpoint. You see L3 kind of passing. You'll see Breadpan do the same. So that's 2 checkpoints Breadpan has passed, and so that's when people start to get pretty worried. Here's another spot where we'll see it thrown. Really nice. Oh, smacked it there too for good measure. And we'll keep going. L3 enter a little bully room here, trying to drop down. The drop downs can get you sometime based on your inputs. There you go. Breadpan right on L3 field from the stream's perspective. coming into the last section of the stage. There's a really cool room here. Let's see how fast they get through here. I love that. So with the rope dart, you can get that room significantly faster and just skip that whole like platforms movement, which is always nice to see. We'll come into the Queen of Quills next. She is she can be quite tough to do fast, and making sure you hit all the right spots and do the damage you're shooting for. Oh, okay. L3's gonna. I was just gonna see. I think the whip section here. Breadpan as well. Or maybe they do enough damage. Okay, no. So Breadpan's gonna get the whips. So I think that means Breadpan missed a little damage gate somewhere that L3 was able to get. And there you go. That's a cool shroom. We go into Searing Crags. This is the stage where the rope dart becomes available. So you'll see extensive use of it. And also, okay, he's going to go the normal way. You'll also see kind of out of sequence action that we do in our any % runs. New Game Plus specifically will be able to use windmill shurikens in order to get to this thing early, because you typically wouldn't be able to do it until you get to this the second half of the game. In any % we use in New Game rather, we use a technique called leashing in order to get the height we need to collect it. We'll see if any of these runners know the windmill shuriken way. I think they do at this point. We shall see. It's coming up in this room now where we'd see them set up for the leash or head straight up. L3 a little low on health here. But it is always the last health that matters, right? Alright, come in. Oh, I like that setup. I hadn't seen that that strike before doing the windmills. I like that a lot. And they picked up okay, that seems what everyone's doing now. Got it. And so they're picking up a thing. It's totally there in their plane of existence. Don't even worry about it. We'll use that later. And now it's just getting to the end and dealing with this stage's boss. From this point, it's a lot of really fun ascents. And then our RNG boss, essentially. That'll be what's coming up next here. So they got just a few rooms, and then L3 is coming on now. It'll be a really fun ascent in this next room. I think there's a leash somewhere in that room. Be set up for it. Doing that right side climb is challenging, very fast, and it can be challenging in that second half trying to get the right height off of the green kappas. But still makes it through and is onto the boss, Kolos and Susis. And this fight can go many different ways, just depending on the moves they decide to take and the damage you put out. So you'll see how they'll do the swap here. I think, yeah. So Susis is done. Kolos is just throwing the rock, and we'll see if we can finish this fight off. And yeah, very smooth, very, very good fight. Breadpan entering it and handling their fight right now. We got a team attack here, which is not usually fun, but the nice thing about it is they're both on screen to do damage on. So you try to make do with what you have available to you. They'll also be on screen at the same time during their transition there. You're getting them to certain health thresholds, essentially, and then waiting for their kind of check. Or they check, okay, well, it's time to switch because the fight's over. And to go, kind of go in the ending state. We got Shovel, please, for L3, and then also Breadpan, who's entering it for Glacial Peak. Probably one of my favorite levels, especially for the 8-bit part of this game. It's just climbs. Nothing more Celeste feeling than a stage like this. But just a lot of climbs, fast movement. In New Game, it feels more so that this is kind of a culmination of a lot of the abilities and skills we've built up until now, going to a really fun and fast stage. Breadpan going up the left side. I'm going to be climbing through. Heavy use of the windmill shuriken to get those jumps. There's a lot of anticipation you can see from these runners as they're entering the next room, kind of preparing themselves for what's going on there. You can see in the room entering that one, the L3 has, I don't know if I've seen that before. But entering rooms and positioning themselves in certain ways, so that they can just react as soon as they're moving into the next room. Whereas you see Breadpan kind of hops over and on top of it. There's our teleport for the 8-bit section. Always fun to see. So, and for those who are wondering, well, what in the world just happened there? The way that teleports work is it all boils down to how the rope dart functions. So the rope dart's making connection to the enemy and kind of locking them, and then going and flying to them, where then when they make contact, they'll do a swing and try to finish the enemy or make an attack on the enemy. But what you'll see folks do is they'll actually perform a strike before throwing out the rope dart, and then the strike animation sticks in front of Ninja, and if the strike hits first, then the enemy will be dead before the rope dart finishes. And so when the rope dart's approaching that, in a normal case, what will happen is you'll see like an extended kind of swing animation be like, oh, there's nothing there, so kind of a whiff. But in kind of the space between, if another enemy of the same type is entering the screen, then the rope dart will actually finish its animation there. So it'll move the ninja very quickly to that spot. And it all has to do with how enemies are handled in their kind of enemy stack, as the developers kind of put it. They'll stack with it. Enemies get placed and reused and handled. Oh, L3 tried to go for a Hail Mary in this first big laser room, but didn't quite hit it. I think he did not. So L3 did not get the checkpoint right before that room, so they'll have to go through this first part again. So it gives Breadpan a little bit of time back. That is not an easy strat, and it's also very unforgiving. These lasers do the most damage in the game, so they do normally 4 damage. You'll see L3 taking it slow this time, kind of waiting for the platform to hide the lasers. And we'll see if Breadpan goes for it. Doesn't have health here. I think it took some damage earlier, so Breadpan will probably opt out. We're going to the Crusher room. There's some cool stuff I see. Yeah, that's really cool. Ooh, tried to get through there. Doesn't have enough health to damage boosters. Waiting for damage. There we go, and just walks right through. Breadpan coming in and hitting the crystal, and it's just going to wait. It's a little bit more of a casual approach to the room. Oh, but then taking a hit to the toe. Wizrobes. Let me talk a little bit. Oh, they're both taking hits. So I think L3 just got that checkpoint. So they're mere spaces away from where they were before. Oh, Oh, there's so much happening. So what Elfric's trying to do is throw a windmill shuriken through the wall to hit that crystal to teleport to it, and they usually take a damage boost through the lasers to do it like this. It can be a bit precise on it, because if you miss, then you have to try to set up again, and I feel like the setup after the fact is much harder than just originally doing it, so that's what you'll see them go for. Breadpan's kind of waiting it off. Very good. Okay. Yes. So, whiz ropes. I want to talk about whiz ropes first. I'm going to take a moment to talk about them because I don't like them. Now, whiz ropes are a horrible, like, RNG enemy. They're the wizards that are shooting the triple blast magic balls. They pick a random coordinate within the bounds of the camera, and then they'll teleport there, and then they'll shoot their balls, and then they'll go forward from there. Now, they'll always start in the same spot on the screen when a room starts, but then after that, it's a big old guess on where they go, and sometimes they can go into some very unfortunate locations and cause you massive headache. Breadpan, that needle land was amazing. All right, L3 coming through. This room can actually spin up quite a bit with the windmill shurikens. You'll see that. The only thing to be careful is the shuriken going a little too crazy and hitting too many crystals that you don't want it to, because you will teleport to that crystal. L3 getting through it just fine. And probably going to take the eyeball room a little bit more safe as they enter this triple wizard room, which can be terrible. But gets through it just fine. Breadpan also doing just fine. We'll see how Bread decides to handle this room. Very similar. Just kind of come up, grab some stuff, get some health, and hang on. L3 coming through the time waster room, which wastes even less time in this game mode. Just like that. Not too shabby. And then we do the final climb here for the 8-bit boss, Arcane Golem. There's a laser skip at the top of this room that I think they'll go through, because the laser doesn't actually extend too far beyond the top of the room here, so you can just float right over. L3 doesn't get it, but just uses the damage boost to get through the rest of it. So, come in here with 4 health, which is generally enough. Arcane Golem is not too bad a fight. You can do a lot of damage with the windmill shurikens. It's just about getting up there as soon as possible and starting to wail on the face. There is some extensive use of the iframes with the rope dart that you start seeing. As you can, if you can see, I'll stick there for a bit. Got it going one more time. Is he gonna risk it? Yeah. So once you're trying to approach with the rope darts, it's a pretty tight window to make it into the head. L3 didn't quite make it, so he's got to start the fight again. Breadpan is in there right now, and you can see how Breadpan kind of made it in there, so he didn't actually take damage, and he's not from the orbs, because rope dart actually gives you quite a few iframes, and we'll abuse that a lot. So this is one of the major examples. By just constantly rope darting something over and over again, you really don't leave any time open to take damage to iframes last that long. So you'll see that happening quite a bit. L3 came in with more health this time, so that boss should be a shoo-in. Breadpan is done with their 8-bit and is going into the linear section of the run, which is just the next 2 levels, which ends the linear portion of the game, because then after that the game opens up quite a bit. So coming in, Breadpan got a really neat hat. It's a nice hat. I like that. Breadpan's coming into 16-bit Cloud Ruins. I've never really been a big fan of this stage. Great music. But for me, a relatively unforgiving stage. There's a lot of death pits. At least there's no whiz robes. So I guess there's that. But also a really tough boss fight. You'll see some folks actually get turned away from really anything past 8-bit because of this stage. And the boss specifically. We got Breadpan coming through, meeting our little ghost sirens, where L3 is now entering the stage with their nice hat. Really, I like that hat. And come through. You'll see a lot of death pits in some of these rooms that are a little bit lower down, and they're terrifying. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a death or two. I typically do die in this stage. Dealing with the toothbrushes here as we make our way towards the first Manfred chase. I like Manfred. He's our friend, our buddy, our pal. High aspirations, but just not having a very good day. So he doesn't mean to, but he's kind of taking it out on his soon-to-be friend. So these sections kind of feel a little auto-scrolly with Manfred, but they aren't. You actually can buy back quite a bit of time in these rooms from rope darting and getting further along in the screen. You can actually move past the bounds of the camera and continue running blind through the rest of the room. So depending on your confidence, you'll see. Depending on the confidence of these runners, you'll see how far ahead they'll get. Brad remembering the upgraded slash that actually broke that box in one hit and blasting through it immediately to skip that cycle. Very good. Bread's in my least favorite room ever. Coming through this long death pit room, trying to make sure that they get that drop. That's one key point, and then we'll see how they handle this next section. Here we go. Still gets through it just fine, and heading into Manfred 2. L3 is entering the little death pit room. We'll see. Just taking it kind of safe. This room can be awful. Gets the windmill shurikens off. And then does this next section. Also goes high. A little bit safer. Nice. There's a teleport that I see L3 trying to go through. I've never tried to recover it like that. Okay, so trying again, then there's the teleport. You get you basically learn about the teleport locations. You can even try practicing it. Breadpan taking unfortunate death on Manfred 2, going all the way back, and L3 now taking back over the lead here in Manfred 2. Now, the Manfred chases, yeah, they can be pretty brutal depending on where in it you die, because they can just, they're long rooms. They are just long rooms. You can see though that both L3 and Breadpan aren't really going too far ahead. That they're just ensuring that they're being more safe than fast in that particular room, and for that I do not blame them. With the extra health and stuff, we can see how L3 chooses to do this room. Very good. Come into the car wash room here, which we never go into. And cuts around into Manfred 3. So L3 is going to make a decision here, one that I'm very interested to see. As they're getting way too close to a little Manfred kiss. Oh! Manfred 1 hits you in this section. So that's not what you want to see. Breadpan now entering their Manfred 3. So curious to see if they make the same very important choice in the run, and that's what they're going to do with the red Kappa friend right here. Breadpan also got a little tripped up, but they're moving. The question is, does our red friend live or die? Do we run along? Oh, nope, Breadpan took him out, the monster. L3 leave. Yep, leaving our buddy alive, as one should. He'll be fine. Yeah, red cap will be fine. It's all good. We'll see Breadpan enter the save screen here and go into the actual Manfred fight. and then L3 right behind them. What we all hope for in this fight is to start off with getting Manfred stuck into a ball animation on that first spin. Breadpan did not get it, so they'll be doing the fight. It's not too bad in New Game Plus. L3 also did not get it, so they're both doing the fight normally. You can put out a lot of damage with these windmill shurikens. We'll see how they hold up. This room can get increasingly more scary the longer and longer the fight goes on. Breadpan makes short work of Manfred and moves on to the underworld. L3 gonna try to finish it there. There you go. Very good. See, Manfred's wonderful. Hanging out with the, you just need to get a little bit of his blue on, and we'd all be good and fine. Kind of a really life lesson for all of us, I suppose. We love you too, Manfred. So, as you see, it's that guy from that thing earlier. Whatever. We'll deal with that guy later. Plot. We're coming through the underworld, which is the last section of the linear portion of this game. It's a nice, like, kind of ending to the linear portion. It feels kind of it feels like everything kind of comes full circle here. This is the same music from the beginning of the game Ninja Village when it was on fire, but now in its 16-bit version. It's also relatively short. L3 just taught us that you do not touch the hot Fanta, the hot flowy Fanta. It is too hot to drink. Breadpan showing us that the slow flowy lava can be run on with the Ninja Tabbies. But not the hot, fast, flowy Fanta. Can't touch that. Too hot to drink. But it's kind of a nice ending part in a round circle for linear. So that makes linear, a nice, fun run, and just a really nice, like, design choice. I feel that then sets up the rest of the game. So we'll see as they go through. But this stage is relatively short. So there's a lot going on, but it's also not too terrible. We'll see. Breadpan get through here. Trying to take too much damage. We'll see if they stop for the checkpoint, and they do. L3 about a checkpoint behind at the moment. Oh, Brad, don't scare me like that. That lava may not be as hot as the fast-flowing Fanta, but it'll still hurt you if you don't put your tabbies first. There are a few really nice ascents in this stage, so it'd be really fun to see this room in particular. The Fanta is actually flowing upwards with us, but we move so fast in these rooms these days, you kind of forget that happens until you're modding the game and sit in this room for a little too long and die while not paying attention. I'm not going to say that happened to me. It's we got our second to last descent here for Breadpan, trying to just get through. There's a health there. There you go. Make it through the room. And the final descent, Breadpan's going to go down. And it gets a nice rope right there. By a little bit of time, and going into the boss fight. The boss fight here is just about handling their first stage, trying to get as much damage off, and positioning the boss in just the right spot. See if Breadpan sets it up. I don't think so. So puts the boss right down and starts their attack cycle. So they're going to see a bit more attack cycles of this boss than you might normally see. We'll see L3 come in and see if it looks any different. Oh, no one likes this move. We have to live with it. Let's see if L3 handles this differently. Sets up a lot of the damage, gets ready. Kind of setting up in that corner over there, gets the boss locked up. Boss is setting up to come down, and then we just try to damage. And doesn't make it, so we're going to see some attack patterns on L3 side as well. Breadpan done with their fight, and at that point, if we were just doing a linear run, we would say, okay, GG's Breadpan got the linear run in, excellent, but that's not what we're doing here. This is an 80% run. We're playing the whole game. So instead, we're going to chill out with a nice, relaxing minute or two cutscene that explains a lot more plot and opens the game up a bit, and then go from there. So we'll talk about it a little bit now they're both in the cutscene. L3 taking out the boss once that attack cycle was over. We see Breadpan coming in as the cycle continues once again. If you're paying attention to the beginning, if not, totally fine. If you haven't played this game yet, there's not going to be much spoilers in here, I think. So you should go and buy the game and play it. I guarantee you'll have a great time. So, essentially, what's happening is Breadpan is showing up, handing off the scroll, and then is going to go hang out in the shop for a while. And then some things are going to happen. And then after that, we are going to be asked to continue our quest to help break a curse that's happening in the world. So, in order to do that, there are 6 musical notes that are scattered throughout the world that we must go find. If y'all remember from listening earlier, we actually already found one, although we may not have been certain of it at the time, in Searing Crags. That was the strange cutscene where we collected totally something but nothing. So we actually already have one of them, so there are 5 more that we're going to need to go and find. It'll be interesting to see how these runners decide to tackle that, because there are several... You can kind of go at them at just about any order. Folks set up their routes to try to minimize downtime, but a lot of the stuff that requires you to go back to this headquarters you're about to see, it's kind of all the same. So we will see how they decide to tackle this, and if there's any deviation or if they make the same choice. Whether we see them try to go more autumn first and take care of that. You'll see a lot of people do that in order to get their G jump out of the way early, because that is a very difficult trick that saves way too much time not to do it. And then, or you might see folks go for a more traditional route, heading to like Elemental Skylands first and just knocking that out, as that's pretty similar to what the new game route will look like. So I've seen it kind of go both ways. We'll see how these racers decide. Breadpan making the first decision. You can see the slots there where the 6 notes will go. We already have one, so it's just 5 left. We'll come put them all in together. That's generally how we do it. So let's see where Breadpan decides to go. Goes left, so we're going to see Autumn first. So they'll probably go, I'm guessing, they're going to go pick up the Hope Note first and then probably walk their way out and go to Forlorn. That would be my guess. And L3 going to get their cutscene to open up the portals. And then where are you going? L3 makes the same decision. So I would expect them to kind of follow a similar path, at least for a bit. I think the way it's going to go, if I had to predict, Breadpan deciding not to take the Water Yeet. Interesting. I don't know if L3 is still going. There you go. There's the map. You actually have to pull up the map, and then you have to close it. There you go. Then you got to close the map. I don't know if y'all knew there was a map in this game. You typically don't see it for too long, and that will be the last time you see it. So I hope you enjoyed your time with the map. But what I expect to happen, I think, is that we're going to see our runners go through here, pick up the Hope Note here in Autumn Hills, then backtrack back to Forlorn, that place that we spent 13 or so seconds in. Ooh, hang on. Breadpan's going for... Okay, that's 1. Let's see how many tries this takes. We're going for a 1 tile off this tree branch here. Gotta get the height for it. And setting up. There you go. That's what you want to see. It skips like a whole section, and you go straight through the back to get the Hope Note. And then after this, we'll see, I think Breadpan go back to Forlorn, and then I think come out the back of Forlorn into Bamboo. And we'll see after that. I think from Bamboo you go to... I think you go back to Catacombs. So let's see how it goes. L3's got a different setup here. Probably trying to skip the 1 tile. Yep, there it is. Beautiful. Skipping the 1 tile altogether with the Windmill Shurikens. That's probably a lot more like consistent So that's a nice trick for New Game Plus right there. So we'll see Breadpan start heading their way back. It's funny, I actually think that the Leaf Golem, which is the first boss that we fought, the one here at Autumn Hills, their revisit here at the end is probably the most trolly part to me. I want to see how they handle that boss revisit. But we're back at the part where we entered, and instead of going down where the portal was, we head back up and through the rest of the stage. And with L3 closely behind. It's interesting to see parts of this stage in the 16-bit, you know, kind of your revisit here into Autumn Hills and seeing how different things are. You have to go through these rooms differently in some cases. But then also, you're going through them again, but with, in this case, I mean, the same stuff, but like in a new game run, with more stuff going through the same area. Coming near the end here, I think, so what yeah, okay, so Breadpan will hop over there and then do the climb once again. Nice, I like that ascent there from L3 side. Alright, I'm just gonna watch this for a second. I want to see how Breadpan handles this revisit. Yeah. So what's funny to me is that that dropping a little leaf ball will actually drop at the exact position you'd be if you just ran neutrally through there. So I'd just like to see how people handle that. Okay, so here's the G jump right here. This is the strat. This is the big New Game Plus strat that skips a huge chunk of the game, and it is hard. And so I think Breadpan's going to leave and come back in to reset that shard and try to use it to get all the distance so that the bridge isn't necessary and we cross the gap. So we'll see how many attempts it takes. Breadpan's trying to set up L3, getting set up for their first attempt. Doesn't like it. Gonna try to set up one more time. Breadpan's feeling good about that one. That looked like some good distance. Oh, nailed it. Great job. Breadpan is in, got the checkpoint, and is doing Forlorn. L3 is resetting. That's another way you could do it other than leaving the place entirely. You could just quit back to the main menu and try it again. Whichever way you prefer. L3 setting up right now. That height looks good. Makes it all the way. Wonderful. We got both of our runners in there. So we're both in Forlorn. That's a huge part of the game. Skipped and Breadpan taking a death there. That's going to put them actually, I think, right behind L3 now. Yeah, that's a rough death. Is they're going to have to go back around and reset the time again, or go back into 8-bit to come in here. But yeah, G jump is the strat that. Oh, I can't say I've paid attention enough lately to have seen that. I love that. Getting kind of lodged in there. I like that a lot, honestly. I've never have the faith to make such a trick. Let's talk about Forlorn. So Forlorn Temple is it's such an interesting stage because of all the things it introduces that you see like nowhere else. Most key is the rockets. You don't really see that anywhere else, but here they are. Also, why not? Let's throw Wizrobes in there because everybody loves Wizrobes. I think that's the hot sitcom of 2021. L3 and Breadpan dying at the same time at different spots. But I think L3's doesn't take them back too far. Oh, Bread, I'm so sorry. I have to do that section all over again once more. So Bread's is definitely a painful death because their checkpoint was just in the next room. But L3 is continuing to move on. Yeah, Forlorn. It's the level of why not? Add that too. Let's go. We'll start coming through and seeing some of the rest of the room. I like this next room and some of the rooms like this for what you can do based on how you actually pull it off. There's a lot of fun movement that can be had. This particular section can feel a bit slow, but with Windmill Shuriken is sped up quite a bit, as you can kick off some of these sections a little early. Very nice Hans on there, just kind of one tiling at a low part of a hanging ceiling to jump over to it, but not cling to it. This room, I want to see L3 goes through, throws the Windmill Shuriken with just enough time to slide right underneath, and that makes that room feel amazing. Alright, Breadpan coming in to this Crusher room right now, making it through just fine. And L3 doing kind of another time waster room. Not really much to do here except ride rockets for a while. Because aren't y'all impressed with rockets? Who doesn't love rockets? L3 gets to it just fine. Breadpan not too far behind, coming through about a cutscene or so behind coming through this room. You'll see some similar stuff. The Windmill Shurikens, there we go. This room is surprisingly tight at how you need to perform it to get through without taking any damage. There's even a room in this stage that I actually don't know if there's much of a way to get through without taking damage. We'll see that room in a little bit. It's just it's our Monka-esque kitchen sink room. Just throw everything in there. If we heard you like saw blades. L3's going to take yet another rocket. And start making that way over there. Breadpan coming through into their time waster room. Alright, so L3 is going to go into our Monka-esque room coming up. And you get to see this fun exercise. There's health in all of those lanterns going through that section, so as long as you can keep moving, you stay pretty safe. Oh, really nice. L3 cut that corner very well, and coming into the boss fight with the Demon King. This fight's a lot of fun. I think it can some mistakes can make this fight feel really slow, but it's a lot of like really fun ascents. We'll see L3 doing it, trying to get that height, instead of deciding to come just straight down and hopping on the rocket. Totally understood. There are plenty of ways to do this fight without ever touching a rocket. L3's gonna instead use the drop to get the rest of the damage. Throw the Windmill Shurikens, and they'll kind of follow their way down. L3 might use them as a backup if necessary. Doesn't need them. Gets the damage, and now we're kind of in the phase 2, which really is just one giant interactive cutscene. There's not much to do to speed this section up. So you just kind of don't die, and in some sections just try not to get hit. We'll wait for a few of these cycles for the rockets to pop up. Breadpan going through Monka-esque while we're waiting for that. But now all L3 doing is just flying up to the top. Don't get hit by any of the lasers and survive. And at some point the fight will be over. Alright, so as L3 is finishing theirs up, Breadpan's coming in and starting. So there's probably about a 2-minute difference between them, I'd say. I think that cutscene phase 2 alone is about 1.5 minutes. We'll see how Breadpan decides to do. Breadpan's deciding to stay up, and I love this. There are ways you can manipulate the boss to make them go back below you so that you don't have to do that. Very well done. A much smoother phase 1 on Breadpan's side. And now they're going to wait their cutscene. So, yeah. That actually kind of shaved off a little bit of time for Breadpan. I'd probably say we're looking at a good minute and a half apart from each other, just about. Maybe less. L3 has the crown, which is not a note, but we need it. We need that and actually one more item in order to get all the notes and beat the game. Is that right? Yeah. So we'll get that later, but we see L3 come out through the back into bamboo. And actually, I think it's catacombs to head for the other item. I think. I'm pretty sure that's right. So Breadpan is finishing up their fight right now, and then they will be probably falling right behind L3 as they head towards catacombs and the dark cave. I adore the dark cave. One of my favorite levels, especially the way we do it in the speed run, because it's dark and really cool to watch and do. And we'll chat about that in just a second as we're leaving out of here. L3 might do some fun stuff. There's some fun stuff to do here, right here at the end of... Ooh, I saw him try some kind of setup. We'll see, maybe it's done here. Oh! So some of the momentum lost, but still really cool. A little one tile swimming there. We'll come in here and talk to Ruxton. Psych, we don't need your amulet, Ruxton. This is New Game Plus. But we will head back to this stage and go find Dark Cave. So, Dark Cave, love the stage. Typically, in a casual playthrough of this game, you would get to this part of the game, this dark cave, and you can't see anything except Ninja and maybe a few choice visual cues. So to a casual gamer, they'll be like, okay, well, I don't know where to go, especially how the first room is. So they have to go and find it's an item that provides true sight and allows them to see in the dark there. That's a totally legit item that's magical in every way. And we think that's slow, so we don't do that. Instead, we just kind of go through it. You memorize the static location of everything that's in that area. Oh, L3 is avoiding the cutscene trigger that's there from the Badonkadonk we did earlier, which is usually not a problem until it is. But yeah, we memorize the location and the layout of Dark Cave, which is just 3 screens. And oh, almost, there you go. And then we're off to Riviere. So we'll see L3 enter it right now. So a lot of darkness here. That first screen is the one that gets you with the dark rooms, because you don't know exactly where you have to rope dart until you do. Otherwise, you can see some visual cues here for where to float up, and then after that, it's a bunch of rope darts onto lanterns you can't see, onto more lanterns you can't see. I've seen some folks, they kind of have a natural drop bounce over there. And then this is the last screen. L3's going to need to come up and around over here and hit a crystal. Oh, you're not close enough. You got to drop down. There you go. There you go. And then it's not really a race at this point. That thing is that light is going to get to the end and then open up the exit. And L3 kind of beat it there, so they're just waiting. Breadpan is entering this room here. I think Breadpan leashed that bat, which is awesome. You also notice that Breadpan's actually coming through an 8-bit. So that's a little different than what L3 did. You'll typically come through in 16-bit because you can cut through some of these rooms a lot faster. L3 is now in Rivière Turquoise, doing the stage here. It's a pretty tough stage. We saw L3 actually skip the cutscene for the teleport because you don't need it. So we just skip right past it. Breadpan will be doing their dark room here in a little bit. But Rivière, we're here to pick up a certain item that we need in order to be able to get through. Ooh, we're gonna make it. Oh, so close. There's with the amount of health we have, we can damage boost our way through and not have to do the puzzle. But kind of got hung up a bit too much in the beginning, didn't have the distance and health to do the rest of that. But I think they're going to try again. Bread's going through their dark room at the moment, setting up their way of doing it, trying to get the height. Okay. And then just rope darts the wall. I missed something on L3 side. I think he... Oh, no. I'm looking back over at the restream. That is unfortunate. He went out of bounds. Yep. Okay, so he decided to go back to the main menu and start over. Totally fair. I think okay, I see where he might have out of bounds too. That's amazing. It's one of those out of bounds you're like, man, I can never get that. And at this point, I wish I hadn't. Since this is a no out of bounds tournament, our out of bounds are not allowed for the races. And what L3 did as a response to the accidental out of bounds is absolutely appropriate. What we expect is either a time delay of some kind, or in the case exactly like that, quit the screen and go back to your last checkpoint. So totally fine. These out of bounds can happen by accident, just because of their nature, the way that the sprite is, and if you wall jump it or one pallet just the right location, you're just going to get one. That was scary, L3, and I can't condone it, but it was so cool looking. Trying to make that like launch over that room with the logs is awful. And the way L3 was trying to do it, I was entranced by until the death that made me sad. L3 is going to try it again. Breadpan coming through the section before. Oh, that room is awful. Breadpan taking a death in the waters shortly before that checkpoint, I think. I hate to die there. I'm gonna start peeking in on L3's stream and seeing what all of his friends are playing. Alright, L3 trying again. L third time's the charm, right? Is that how it goes? Okay, very good. Oh, L3, I see you in the chat. We'll pretend like this review isn't even happening. All right, we'll talk about something else, like I don't know. Breadpan on Riviere doing the same room at the moment. This room is awful for many reasons. L3 taking the death, going into that room right there, so I have to do the yeet again. So it's terrible for a bunch of reasons. I don't like long death drops anyway, but on top of that, the logs that you want to step on will eat your rope darts, and if you get a rope dart eaten by a log, you're essentially dying. It's very rare to save it. Breadpan, oh no, missed. Okay, trying to do the yeet, but missed the lantern and fell to their death. L3 is in the screen just in front of that, so they are right next to each other, having a terrible time with Riviere. Riviere does not mess around. But I can see L3 kind of taking it safe with the spike hallway here. Totally understood. Might see him, yeah, cut through right at the end. And then get through this checkpoint. And boop. And then we go into the kind of the puzzly section of Riviere. Breadpan right on their heels. With a really nice entry to the hallway there. Got to utilize the positions of the magic fairies there. L3 taking the flower because now this is the one puzzle room that you just gotta do it. That fast flowing also Fanta is not hot, but it is fast, and you can't step in it, can't tabby on it. So because of that long bit of fast rushing waters, you just do the puzzle. As Poopa always tells us, just do the puzzle. All right. We're coming into the last section on L3's side. Breadpan doing the puzzle at the moment. L3 doing the bird skip here. Gets it very well. Oh, and flips it back around with the windmill shuriken. And heads back up for this section. Falls down, flips the flower, and one more time. And then we get to see what the boss looks like. So Breadpan's going to do their bird skip. L3 is going to go into their matriarch fight. This fight... Oh, do you have the distance? Okay, Breadpan decides no, and is instead going to do it more casual. Yeah, it takes the casual route. Unfortunately, we'll have to do everything casual because of that. So L3 is going into the matriarch fight. There are... Oh, lost the fight. Okay. So maybe a little bit of miscounting from the upgraded sword attack, but the boss took off after they hit a certain threshold. I'm going to go into phase 2. We're going to try to finish the boss on this screen using just a bunch of damage. Oh, we fell, unfortunately. So now the boss is aware of its health. Going to try to save it and kill the boss off screen. Does not get it. Instead sits up top there. Don't worry about why. And it's going to have to go into the phase 3. So this is where the boss will die. Up down here, there's a far invisible platform to the left. And that's how close the boss was. Not too bad. So we got the phase 3 kill on L3's side. We'll see how Breadpan handles it. While L3 heads on back to the HQ through the only way we know how, quickly, by dying. Alright, Breadpan going into the phase 2. Kept onto the boss, but does... Yep, and there it is. So that's a phase 2 kill for Breadpan, saving a little bit of time. Very well done. I believe in New Game Plus there is a phase 1 kill. I can't remember. But I think it is there with the windmill shurikens and all that damage. Okay. So now we're on the same page here. L3 going into the grotto. Because now we need... we're going to get our next key. We're going to get our next note. And that one's going to be in the Sunken Shrine. And to get through that, we'll go through something that has a similar story to it, to the Dark Cave. This is the kind of this game's Lost Woods. It's a little underwater maze that you would casually go and find an item hidden in the Quills Marsh that actually guides you through the maze. But the path is the same every time. So if you remember the path, then you can just go and do it. I can't remember in New Game Plus if they actually already have the item. I don't remember. But either way, we're not going to go and find that item. So we are just going to go there. And we're going to do the... We're just going to do the puzzle. And then we're going to start getting our next note. Oh, nice try. Trying to get a little teleport there for a just for a few frames, but didn't get it off. We might see another attempt coming this way. Did not make it there. I think those hugging their knees on the ground a little too much. Breadpan actually going a different route. So we have a divergence here where Breadpan's deciding, let's just get Skylands out of the way now. Okay, so they do have the seashell. So that's what it would look like. It would glow to show you which direction to go. But it's going to be that same path every time. Breadpan is instead going to head to Elemental Skylands and get the note that is there. Yeah, and probably after that, I would expect Breadpan then to go and knock out the Underworld Revisit. Since we have the Windmill Shuriken, we actually don't need to do anything else than just get our Cloud Step up there and unlock it. Very simple in New Game Plus. So Breadpan's about to do a very long level. L3 is going to come here and do a not as long level, but get a little slide there. And it's going to go in for the two... it's the two... God, I'm losing words right now, but it's the Moon and Sun crest that they're going to go pick up so that they can open the door right there to open up and get the Note of Love. For anyone who is watching Sabotage Studios, which are the developers of this game, and any of their latest input on the new game coming out, Sea of Stars, there is heavy reference to what that game will cover in this stage in particular. Again, will not be covered in this run, as this run is too fast for lore. I like that. I like that move, L3. I can move a lot. New Game Plus is so much fun. Alright, so while we're doing that, what Breadpan's going through in Elemental Skylands is a series of auto-scrolly, kind of bullety sections with Manfred, where you go from Skyland to Skyland to basically take down portals so that you can get all the way to the boss of the area, the Clockwork Concierge, who has our Note of Symbiosis. So Breadpan will be doing that for a while, finishing up the Air Skylands and getting onto Manfred, heading for the Water Skylands. So while... Is that right? The Earth Skyland next. I don't know why I'm getting this. But one of those two. While that's happening, L3 is heading to the other side of the Sunken Shrine here and picking up the other crest so that the door can be opened. A lot of things that we can just kind of damage our way through and try to be as fast as possible from L3 side. And with, yeah, it's Earth Skylands. That's right. So Breadpan will be going to the Earth Skylands and taking down the shield generator there and making the way through to the Skylands after that, which is water. L3 is coming into a water section here in the shrine. See if they can get a quick little water yeet out of here. Very nice. That room just a little bit faster. And you could land all the way on this side and then rope dart to the time change and move our way back up. What Breadpan's going to be doing in the Earth Skylands is actually use Windmill Shurikens to skip a huge chunk of this. Well, not use Windmill Shurikens, but just a damage boost through here to skip a whole chunk of that stage and head over to the generator. And then L3 is getting the Moon Crest. With both crests in hand, we'll climb up this room here and begin their cutscene to pick up the Note of Love. Breadpan's got to get through there and get into the next Manfred section on the way to the Water Skyland. For anyone who was... there's a lot of neat things to look in this scene on L3 side when it comes to either lore or some like Easter eggs, stuff like that. Really cool stuff to see here. And as you play through it, get to experience it. It's very neat. We're going to pick up our Note of Love and move on from there. I'm trying to think what happens next for L3. I think L3 follows in Breadpan's footsteps after this and goes to the Skylands. Go to the teleporter here? Yeah. Heads to... Yep. All right. So then at some point, Breadpan's just going to have to go and do the Sunken Shrine. So while anyone who's coming in now might make it look like Breadpan is significantly farther ahead, that is most likely not the case. Based on, I think, how they diverged, but also remembering that Breadpan still has a whole level to do. Hasn't been done yet. The descent in Glacial going to Skylands can be quite fun, but a little scary, because there are some death pits that you have to watch out for in your fall. But it's nice because in New Game Plus, you kind of get a free ride into the Skylands, something that in New Game you have to do one of many rather unfun strats in order to get to early. Either by leashing or by doing a leashless setup, doing some very wacky movement to get an extra cloud step. But we'll see them kind of moving each other, well, in Breadpan's footsteps, or I guess Sky Serpent's steps in this case. Let's go with that. Now, L3 is going to enter. Breadpan is getting close to the final Skyland, which is going to be the Fire Skyland. With them having tabbies already, isn't too bad with the lava. Just got to remember to run on it. Boy, just land tabby first, you should be fine. An important note about tabbies is tabbies work while you're holding the tabby button and you keep moving. If you ever stop moving on lava, you will immediately sink and die. And nobody wants that. This is also a good level and section for collecting time shards, something that in this particular game mode they just do not care about. At this point in the game too, you're going to have so many time shards that you're not going to run out from deaths. I think, let's see, I think in Breadpan's case, they would have to die, what, like 46 times without picking up a single time shard in order to get a game over at this point. If that ends up happening, you can all shun me for the rest of my life. So Breadpan's going through the Fire Skyland here as L3 is starting their movement through the Air Skylands, the very first one. And now that Breadpan is done, we get to go into the Concierge Fight, which is just full of button mashing and lots of things happening. This is about as bullet helly as it gets in this game. So you're going to see Breadpan trying to whale as much damage on the boss's head. That's the first part of the fight. When it starts to smoke, then you got to destroy the cannons on the chassis here. See Breadpan choosing to do the charge attack to break the cannonballs. They kind of save on their mash hand, which I get. Mashing hurts. Do damage to the heart. Try to get as much damage as possible. And then go into the next phase. So Breadpan entering phase 2 for the fight, trying to take out those cannons once more. It's just mostly a rinse and repeat at this point for the boss fight, and making sure you get that damage in when the boss is available. Otherwise, because it's not just damage based, there's also a timing to it. So if you don't do enough damage, you can get extra cycles. So it's just something to worry about when you are in the heart damage portion of the fight. But if everything goes well, we'll see how phase 3 goes for Breadpan. They finish up the last cannon. There. Oh, gotta get up that damage. That damage. Okay, got it. Alright, so Breadpan is done with the fight, and is going to pick up their note of symbiosis. And then probably from there, do the rest of the descent down the mountain and head to the underworld through Steering Crags. What we get to skip, which I imagine could naturally happen here, but won't, would be picking up the note of strength. But since we already have it, we get to skip it. That would have been the one in Crags. And go straight to the underworld for the note of chaos. Yep. Manfred's going to spend some time trying to learn how to be a butler. That is absolutely Manfred's goal in life. And we wish him all the best for it. Breadpan will be doing their descent now. There's some fun descents here. You just got to remember which rooms to fall and which rooms to not for the death planes. We see L3 taking quite a bit of damage on their way to the Earth Skyland. No, I'm sorry, they're in water. Never mind. I don't care anymore. But taking a lot of damage in those sections can be a bit scary from having to do it all over again. Again, there's really not much of a way to speed it up, so it's got to be careful of, but L3 is fine. Breadpan's going to make a nice drop right here, and then drop a little bit further. Knacking lanterns for good measure. We're going to say hello to our good friend Lover Boy. Not talk to them because we just don't need him. Sorry, buddy. Then make our way into the underworld. Just like the first visit, this visit will be pretty quick. We're going to do a lot of the section you probably saw before, but this time in 8-bit. And at some point, we'll deviate off from the track you probably remember before and go through a few interesting sections. It is short. There are some parts of it that can just be brutal. And also depending on the strats that they go for. So we'll see. Oh, I noticed someone mentioned it. Grom mentioned it over here too. L3 decided to go for the pacifist route, which in the Manfred sections, which is amazing. As I feel that only makes it harder. Maybe he saves on his mashing hand. I do like that. Breadpan going through this kind of crusher room here. There isn't really much to do to speed it up because you're going to wait on this cycle. So off we go, running on lava. This room, only thing that we kind of remember to be careful of is that your jumps can get eaten by the moving platforms based on their positioning. Because of the health, Breadpan's going to take this room a little bit safer. Oh, but because of the timing of his jumps, he got into a weird position on that last one and wasn't able to adjust properly for it. So we'll have to try that at space again. This section is really hard, and that room is what had the checkpoint. So that's a rough death. L3 coming through the Fire Skylands now, making their way through and onto the Clockwork Concierge. Alright, so Breadpan's trying that room again, got through a bit cleaner, and is going up to the checkpoint. Oop, very good. L3 getting ready. Laying out the damage on that head, see if we can take the head out before it even... Oh, is that some... Oh, so L3's doing some inventory buffering strats here, where you can probably hear in the inventory, and we'll probably see some more of it. And that's just to make the fight safer. But what L3 is doing is setting up in a spot, and you can hear him stacking fireballs. I don't think the head was done. Go up and back a bit. There you go. So there's a bit of challenge to this strat. Like, you don't know exactly how much damage you've done yet. So you could waste time you don't mean. But it is much safer because you're not having to dodge stuff while doing that. So L3 is deciding to do this to play it safe. And it's pretty neat to see because you don't see it too often, I think. You could do this in here. You can do this in the map as well. But you can hear the fireballs. And they all kind of stack up on each other. And that's why you get the damage. Probably unintended, but we're going to use it anyway. L3 now done picking up their symbiosis note and heading up. Breadpan is now making the grotto play to go into Sunken Shrine. Now L3 has already done that, so after the Chaos note pickup in the Underworld, which it seems like Breadpan did I'd missed the ending of it, but it seemed like Breadpan did it very well. Deaths in there are not uncommon, I think is the way I'll put it, and can be very annoying. Just a giant, fast-flowing Fanta room. I think if I made like a Sentai show, I would call it the fast-flowing Fanta Force, and they would just be different colors of Fanta. I think that's what I want to do. All right, so we got L3 making their descent down and going into the Underworld, and Breadpan making their way to the Underwater Maze. So a bit of kind of running through each other's footsteps at this point. The difference will be that Breadpan has to do this stage. L3 stage is going to be shorter. So as long as that's played off well, then we should get through that very quick. And I think after that, if I did my math right, we should only have one left. Because we already have the Strength note. We already have the Hope note. We already have the Love note. We already have the Symbiosis note, and we're about to get the Chaos note. And after that will be the Note of Courage, which we'll get from the Corrupted Future. Very, very cool level. I like that move L3 did. Get a little bit faster in that room using the rope darts. Breadpan done through the maze and heading off to the shrine. L3 is giving it a little bit of weight for that fast-flowing Fanta. Hopping on down. And moving on to the 8-bit section. Very good. Breadpan heading over to get the Sun Crest at the moment. With this section usually goes relatively fast with our upgrades, and so not too crazy here. We'll see if anything wild comes up. In my opinion, the moon side is actually a little bit more rocky. I feel like there's so much more that can go wrong over there. But that doesn't mean that you relax in the sun section. There is still plenty of things that you can. That was one of them. That Breadpan gracefully showed off for us. So they'll need to do this section again, and then head back to that room. Now, one thing that I wasn't able to watch on Breadpan's side that L3 is doing right now is the long, fast-flowing Fanta room. This room is brutal because, as you can tell, all the platforms you're landing on are falling, so you really can't hang around and take the room very slow. And so you also are pressured to go fast, but then going fast can get you into bad position sometimes. So it's well balanced. L3 knocks it out. Not a problem. We see Breadpan going through more of a casual way for handling this space, as opposed to what L3 showed us in this room. But that should be number 5 for L3, and going to take us back into the headquarters, where for the first time we're going to see them enter the headquarters and make a right turn. Unless I'm crazy. Nope, there it is. And we get to go into the Corrupted Future. Breadpan has the Sun Crest. Going to head over and grab the Moon Crest next. This stage that L3 is in, the Corrupted Future, is so cool. I love the music in it, the aesthetic, everything about it. The bodies flying in the background into the tentacles. It's just amazing. I'm just taking a nice moment to enjoy the music. Oh, so good. So good. All right. And so the point of this stage is really just going through this maze. There's L3. You get to let me see the stage some more. You're so sweet. Oof. The crushes in the game can feel super cheap sometimes, but they happen and they're rough. Especially in this stage, there are no checkpoints really, except one notable one that we try to skip. There really are no checkpoints, so you just gotta do the whole stage again. And there's nothing to really speed up here. So you go through. There's a couple of sections where you gotta wait for the fairies to get in position. So it's just all the movement in between to try to buy yourself time. So we'll see L3 got to kick off. There you go. Breadpan finishing up. Finishing up with the Moon Crest. Gonna go watch their cutscene and then probably be entering Corrupted Future alongside L3. L3 is coming to kind of nearing the end of the Corrupted Future, where we'll attempt a fairly big skip to save some minutes in this stage. There's ways that you can mess it up, and then there's ways you can terribly mess it up. We want none of that to happen, and for for us to die in just the right way. Let's find out. L3 is flipping and dipping right now. Waiting for that fair to get into place. If I didn't mention it before, this stage and okay, hang on, L3 is setting up. Got it. Very good. So what L3 had to do in order to even get in this stage was to have the crown from the Demon King and to have the fairy from Riviera Turquoise. Both those items were required in order to even come in here properly. What L3 just did there was the chase skip, and L3 was in the middle of collecting the note in its cutscene when they died. That collection is still happening. So when we respawn, L3 still collects the note. The cutscene triggers for the chase, but we're already back at the beginning where the destination is anyway, and we're done. Didn't have to do the entire minute or two chase. So very good. And with that, L3 is on to the music box, the final level of the game. We're just going to go place all those notes in. And head into the music box. That melody there is very important and talks to just how interesting this final stage is. A hardest cutscene skip in the game? Got it. And flow, there you go. Flow away into the music box. Now this stage, music box, is one of a kind. It actually runs a lot of its traps and the mechanics of the stage kind of play off to the beat of the music. Even its physics too. Some of the most interesting things you can see done in this stage that you won't even see in a run like this, but are fun to play around with. But some of the things you will see is it's like you can do some reading of the state of the next room by the beat you're about to enter it on. Oh, you tried. L3, you scared me, but you tried. That's a beat right there where you think you can make the trap. And L3 tried, but I think may have hesitated just too long. It can also kind of mess up some of the traps and sometimes have like some of the steams going off in times you don't expect. Things like that. I have seen some use of like the trap, like stopping mechanic with the beat in order to speed like this cycle up. I'm not sure how viable has been in actual runs, but it's still really cool to see. There is a big skip coming up. I say big, but there's a skip coming up that utilizes the concept for manipulating or reading a room, essentially. I think it's in the next room, called Rhythm Bird. It's a strat I have no intention of ever trying because it's scary. It keeps me up at night. Breadpan getting their chase skip just fine. So Breadpan will be entering very shortly. That probably would have been the beat for it. You basically want to enter on the offbeat where the traps aren't moving and allow you time to like skip. Just kind of like what L3 did, but then expanding on that a bit more to do a lot of skipping underneath the traps. L3 is instead waiting it out one more time and hopping over. This room is awful. Oh, okay, that's right. I was like, I forgot about rope dart for a second. It scared me. But we're done with that and going into the next section. We use the windmill shuriken to hit that early. We're heading off to what you'll see is kind of our first use of actual music manipulation. We're going to enter the shop. We're going to exit the shop. The song is back to the beginning, and the traps are not moving. The traps are programmed to kick off at a certain point once the music hits a certain section. So we'll do that sometimes to speed up a room by resetting the music. This is a particular room where those steam vents can get off cycle and actually be on all at the same time if you enter on a certain beat, and it's annoying. Can you? Oh, very good. And still cutting over. Proof that yeeting was an intended function is this stage right here. Many times you're going to see us just flying through the air and realizing, yeah, developers intended for us to do this throughout the rest of the game, that we tell ourselves. Breadpan is now music box as well and going through some of the early spots. L3 going really fast in that room. That's kind of scary, but really cool to see. This section here, I think there was a really nice beat to come in on, but it wasn't able to capitalize on it. So the next one, we're going to try for an elevator cycle skip using the projectile from the blue kappa makes that a little bit easier, so you get there plenty of time to just wait for the elevator and hop on. And then use the shurikens that can fly right back up. Who needs elevators? Really more of a nuisance at this point. Now we'll see L3 come through here. I've seen a couple people make some different decisions, especially with the shop for like shuriken usage. Because pulling out the regular shurikens here allows someone to like hit that from further away. I've seen a couple people do it. The L3 just sticks with the windmill shurikens at this point and goes all the way across the room to hit it. We'll see something similar here. Gotta be careful with that one health. Gets the checkpoint, very good. And moves on. Breadpan going through the Rhythm Bird room right now. Well, L3 is doing another puzzle that we are absolutely going to do, as it's hard to believe that this wasn't the intended route. L3, Breadpan, rather, takes a death right at the end of that room, which is one of the worst feelings in the world, because now you get to do it all over again, and that room sucks. It's just the worst. L3 passed the second point of like the music manipulation, and moving on to kind of the last section here. Trying to do a couple of choice 1 tiles. And, ooh, see if we can, there you go, very good. All right, Breadpan trying the Rhythm Brood room again, while L3 comes into one of the last rooms, leading into the boss. Breadpan giving me a heart attack. And I believe I have also died. That's rough. That is a rough death. A second death in Rhythm Bird. At that point, you're not feeling well. I think L3 is trying to just get back up here. And we're off. All right. Oh, another death from the steams. From the steam vent. The damage builds up, especially if you're trying to go fast coming into this room. Tapping on the side of the spikes and whatnot. But you go through fast, you can get through just like that. L3 is entering the final boss fight right now. Gonna take out the Phantom. This is a really fun fight, honestly, as far as... No, don't jump. Okay, thank you, Breadpan. This is a really fun fight, and in New Game Plus, you get to do some more fun stuff. I want to see how they're going to do it. They take the hit there, wail on the boss. They're floating around and go into this laser section with the little Tomba pig nose mask. Trying to get as much damage on Phantom as you can. Getting another little volley here. Clinging onto the wall and hitting it back will guarantee you that the hit will land. And so that's usually what we shoot for. L3 trying to get early in damage on that section. And then getting the next laser cycle. So while L3 is finishing that up, Breadpan is coming up to their first little music manipulation. L3 is really low right now. Getting another volley. That's not what you want to see right now. Oh. I was hoping to see the wall. So L3 takes an unfortunate death on the Phantom fight. It's going to have to do the Phantom fight once more. Gonna go right back in. Kind of skip all the sassy dialogue. And move right into the fight. Let's see how L3 handles it this time. Breadpan doing puzzles at the moment. So we got the laser cycle this time. This is a wonderful example of the use of roped out iframes. As long as you keep the rhythm going, the lasers will not damage you, as you will not give it a chance to. L3 is then going to climb up, handle the clone segment. The boss won't really respond to it until about a cycle and a half or so. So that whole time you could just wail on the boss. Do some more damage here. Gotta be careful, be in the right spot. There you go. And just try to stay out of harm's way. L3 getting a little low again. Let's see if the damage, perfect. And that is the boss fight. So time will be coming up for L3 pretty soon. L3 is going to finish this cutscene, do a couple mashes. We're gonna give L3 a little bit of our energy so that they can do the thing. And while that cutscene's going on, Breadpan is getting their elevator skip right now. But they actually missed the cycle, so they're going to have to wait for the elevator once more. So they'll be doing it more normal. All right. L3 taking screenshots on Steam, it sounds like. Cute. All right, we're going to charge up to do the thing. And we got a couple of mashing sections here. When the mash shatters, that'll be time. Got our beam struggle here. And after this mash, time for L3. Looks like a 146.53. I pop over here real fast. Because I know that their time, that Breadpan's time wasn't showing, so I wasn't entirely sure how far behind Breadpan really was. But it does look like L3 would have taken that one. Yeah. So very good. And so GG's to L3 for the win today. Breadpan's going to be finishing up their run doing the, it looks like the second. Ooh, almost. Almost. The puzzles will get you, buddy. Oh, I think they're doing it the casual way. There we go. May have opted into not using the shuriken to hit through the wall. Actually, that one's actually close enough. You could just slash it with your sword, too. We see Breadpan is, let's see. Anyway, okay, so back to Breadpan now. Breadpan now is doing their final climb. GG's to L3 for the win today. Breadpan's going to be finishing up their run doing the, it looks like the second. Ooh, almost. Almost. The puzzles will get you, buddy. Oh, I think they're doing it the casual way. There we go. So we got Breadpan climbing up for the last room here. And have opted into not once to hit through the wall. Actually, that one's actually close enough. You can this room. Oh, there you go. Okay, gets the windmill shuriken there. That's a good feeling to get. Don't have to spend too much time in this room and can just be right out. It feels like a much tighter shuriken than you'd think. But we get it, and then Breadpan gets to head right on to okay, the boss fight. And we get to see Breadpan's Phantom. Is doing their final climb. GG's to L3 for the win today. Breadpan's going to be finishing up. All right. Phantom's going to say some stuff. Ninja's going to be like, what? And then a fight will ensue. Breadpan clings onto the wall, being able to get that free win of that kind of volley. And is getting our lasers. So Breadpan trying to go as late as possible before starting the rope darting to use the windmill shurikens. I like that move. And finish that phase. Ooh, got the teleport going up. You love to get that. That gets you up there with the boss, getting as much damage as possible on him. That was wonderful. What a great fight. Breadpan finishing it off with an amazing Phantom fight. You really can't ask for much more. Very well done. So now Breadpan is going to be finishing up. We're going to give Breadpan some of our energy to do the thing as well. And then a couple mashes, and we are done. Everyone holding up their hands high in order to do the thing. Arcane Golem pops back out, and the beam struggle ensues. Using the spacebar for the mashing. There you go. Oh, the struggle is real with this mash. You got it. You got it. Time for Breadpan. Very well done from both Razors, coming out and taking on the game. We're seeing if, I'm not sure yet if we'll hear from them specifically, but what a race. Quite interesting to watch the whole time. Let's see. I will send. I don't know if I have it, but But yeah, well done, both the racers. Well done. L3 will be taking the win here, which means, let me go ahead and pop over. So L3's win here means that they will be taking on, actually, I don't have this updated. Let me find it real fast and see. That's Breadpan's second elimination of the tournament, meaning Breadpan is now out of the tournament here. And as for this run, there was a race that already occurred, and I need to pull it up. It happened, it was Halfling versus Narga. So Halfling versus Narga. Halfling actually took it with 40 seconds, which is awesome. So that means if Halfling took the previous race, which I think was yesterday, Halfling took that one. Then that means that L3, who just won today, will now be taking on Narga next week during the quarterfinals for the losers bracket. Yep, there it is. All right. I don't know if there's anyone, if they're being pulled in here. I can try to send something over. Yeah, I'm not entirely certain who will. Oh, I think someone sent it to L3 because I think I saw or heard them join. L3,
I'm here now.
welcome to here. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
Pretty good. I'm just my run a bit interesting. Let's just say that. I actually would have PB'd at the end. I was 30 seconds ahead out of Music Box,
Oh, wow.
but I died to Phantom. So that just shows that my PB can't go down a lot. I just need more practice.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying, let's see. So some of your uh there were some highlights that I had for you, some around some of the strats and the way you ran the rooms. I liked you had a climb in, is it the way that you climbed? Oh, the way that you climbed in the elevator skip room, where you used the projectile off the blue kappa in order to
Oh,
make
and
that
the
cycle real
Narga,
quick.
yeah, the left side Narga setup.
Yeah.
That's that's Jay. I don't know why I do that because you can get it on the right side, but you know,
It's
and,
it's it's
Narga's good at this game. Why not steal his shreds?
yeah, Narga coming up with another racer, and in fact, that's who you're racing against next.
Yeah,
Narga being the #1 seed for the tournament, bumped yesterday by Halfling, who is #4, and is now bumped on, and that's who you'll be taking on next week. I think, is that right? Next week, I think that's right.
yeah. And
Yes.
I'd also like to say my Riviere. After this any% Vegan Plus tournaments, if you saw my Riviere out of bounds and my glacial clip, I'd like to send this out to Stalls and Halfling. You better watch your out of bounds runs because
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're getting
yeah,
so
I
many good out of
figured.
bounds. You're just gonna have to. You're just
I
gonna have to jump
figured.
in there with them.
Like okay, the Riviera one. I don't even know how I did it, but you know it worked, and I had to reset. Well, reset to title and glacial clip. That's actually legal, so and it looks cool.
So let's see. The Riviere, which is always a hard one to deal with. That log room I was talking about just as you were entering. There was one thing you did where you kind of roped her off the bird and kept going, and I found that
Yeah.
simultaneously awesome and terrifying.
It's pretty sketchy to start, but really you're either gonna land on a log or be able to rope the far, so it's not too bad.
Yeah. Belial's asking when you're gonna run the any percent pacifist run and
And
really start hating your life.
so I mean I already know one segment except for the two monster or two things on kills in the Manfred sections for
That's right.
elemental.
Yeah,
Um
we were talking about in the flow through your pacifist Manfred sections.
See,
Um,
I kind of had the thought of, hey, if I'm nice to the enemies, maybe they'll be nice to me, and I did end up golding, so it worked. And for the two enemies I killed, which I am sorry about that,
broke my
uh,
heart.
I realized I needed, well, 5 or 4 health, because there was still a bit left in the auto scroller, and I didn't want to take a lot of hits, so I just killed him because I was scared. And then, but there was a checkpoint, and I would have been fine.
L3, was it you that did the pause strats for the boss?
Yeah.
So, and I was talking a little bit about during the run. It was interesting to see that. Do you make that decision as in order to make the boss safer for yourself? Is that usually what goes through?
So it's kind of both because when I use the inventory, because I can still damage him, and also his projectiles won't hit me. So it's safer for myself, and you also get more DPS as there's no projectiles spawning, and the projectiles will take the hits or take your
Right.
fireballs.
So you've had to work quite a bit on because I imagine because of that section you have to count your shots pretty well to not spend too many.
Um, so yes, you should count, but I just kind of wing it.
Yeah, I haven't done any of that counting myself to know, like, ideally, really any of that. But I saw you pull it out. It was super exciting. It's like, oh, I never get to see this. Okay, well, and all of the build up of all of the fireballs because we were able to listen for a second. We had your audio on. You could hear the fireballs still being cast, even though the game is paused.
It's a very cool strategy.
Yeah.
And
So yeah, especially anyone who's doing that fight and is having trouble with everything on screen, a totally legitimate way to handle that boss and completely cheese it.
oh yeah.
So let's see. Um, there was a bit of back and forth between y'all, especially early on.
Oh yeah. I had
Um,
a I had the stream up on my second monitor through the linear, and then I turned it off through second quest. I noticed he was ahead of me going out of linear. I had very, very rough linear. Um, yeah. I mean, my 8-bit was really good up until Tower. Then
isn't that how it
I
always goes?
messed up a lot. Oh yeah, that's just
Tower,
typical.
Tower of Time Loss, Tower of Tears.
Yeah,
Name it what you will. That tower will always get you. I think for you that we had challenges in. I think it was Hail Mary,
yeah, it was Hail Mary.
and
I
then
Hail Mary, I
oh, you
die.
took a
Well,
crush in that levy skip room.
yeah.
That's right, but that one wasn't as bad.
Oh, that one wasn't as bad. That was like
Yeah.
there's the
Oh,
checkpoint right there.
and then I know you had missed the laser skip, so you took the accidental
Hmm.
death on the boss,
Yeah, I
and I
went
think
for
that's
a
when the
laser
flip
skip.
happened.
So I didn't know that I wasn't wingsuited because I think I got an extra cloud step. Because normally I just hit A like 3 times, but I think I got 3 cloud steps. And normally that would just put you in the wingsuit, but it didn't. So
Oh, I see. I see.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah, and then I did die to the boss, but like yeah, that was my fault. I
yeah,
messed up the early and took way too many hits.
one of you as well. So that must have been Breadpan who had killed the Red Kappa in Manfred 3. Which
Yeah,
means you
I
kept the
let
Red
him
Kappa
live.
alive, which always I think is a top tier move.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It loses you time in the race, but saves you time in our hearts.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, realistically, it doesn't lose me time or time I should be worried about because I also have crazy time save in later sections, and also, like, I don't know how to do it blind.
So what are you thinking about going into your next race against Narga? What's your thought? Maybe things that you plan on like really trying to polish out.
See, well, Narc is good at the game. I'm not. I'm pretty scared. But like maybe I just learn out of bounds because I was good at the clips. I just beat
There
him
you
that
go.
way.
There you go. You could just go some any percent clips route and
Yeah.
just get to
Oh
the
yeah. I'll
headquarters
skip. I'll
in
skip.
what 15, 7
I'll
minutes.
skip all of Forlorn. You know. I
There you
think
go.
that should be pretty fair. What saves like 6 minutes? A lot of time.
Oh, I say, well, yeah, because I think you get to what headquarters in like 7 minutes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you get in like 7 minutes. And then I know you could also get to the Demon King early. You don't even need to do Geed. You just go to the other. You just
Yeah,
go.
y'all's G jumps were pretty pretty close-ish together as far as attempts go.
Yeah, my Geed, I failed twice. My first I jumped before I held right. I got bad speed, which you might have not been able to see. Because I menued, well, I paused right off the bat. Because when I practice, I like leaving it at full health, the crystal. But
Yep,
yeah, so I just got into that habit. And then
gotcha.
yeah, then I got it.
Well, there you go. All right, so as we start winding things down a bit here, do you have any last-minute thoughts?
Um, Pretty tired. That was a fun race.
Go.
And Narga,
That's
I
right.
look forward to the race.
All right. Yeah. Well, I think we all look forward to it too. That's going to be definitely one to watch. That race being sometime y'all going to plan and schedule for sometime next week when we go into the next round of races. This being the second race of this round. So coming up, we've got two more collectives. We got Grandia is going to be facing off against sort of Alpha. I don't think there is a
Yes.
time set for that one. Oh wait, hang on. No, I don't think so yet, but I do see uh, Space Narc and Kyleberry have their up for their race on the 22nd. So at least the next one that I see up here, will be the 22nd, 10 p.m. Eastern. You'll see a race against Space Narc and Kyleberry, and so that'll be a nice one to watch. That should be the other. Let's see. That should be the
Other
other
losers.
losers round one, and so from that we'll see who goes from there and who drops out. And then Grundius and sort of Alpha, we'll see who wins the semifinals there, moves on to the winners finals against Halfling. So stay tuned for those races and everything else that's happening as part of the Speed Gaming Live 2021 event. Uh, yeah, everyone stay tuned for a bunch of amazing tournaments, the marathon, everything. It's all going to be a great time. And that's all I have. Everyone have a great night and day, and we'll see you next time.
Just like to say, Breadpan, thanks for the race. Everyone else, Alpha before, everyone, thanks for coming for the race. It's been really fun so far, and I look forward to seeing the ending. And just thanks for organizing this speed game.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, y'all take care.